till 2020. In 2020, she was offered a position on the Membership Advisory Group for AACEI International, where she is actively helping the teams to support the growth of the AACE community around the world. In May 21, she moderated the AACE webinar Spotlight on Recommended Practice 29R03, which was attended by more than 2,500 people from around the world. Once again, thank you for joining us, and I hope this webinar will be beneficial for your professional excellence. Back to you, Lucia.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for such a lovely introduction and also for the invitation to present for your section. So let me share the screen and we can start the topic for tonight's presentation. Thank you very much to everyone who dedicated their family time to me, and also to delay analysis techniques, which is quite interesting topic for tonight. You all know around the world we have two very popular guidelines. One guideline is AAC RP protocol, 29 RP protocol. That's a very popular guideline, how we prepare the delay analysis. The guideline is from 2011, so it's a little bit outdated, but AAC is actively working on a new update. And the second is SCL protocol, which is updated Society of Construction Law Protocol from 2017. Okay, for me, myself, my personal motto will be that any type of the delay analysis which makes our client, and that does not really matter if it's contractor or the employer, happy and bring him amicable settlement is welcome. This is why, as you understood, I would like to pursue my career to be a mediator. So my goal is always to try for amicable settlement. So when we look at those very popular guidelines, during my experience at work, so what I try to do, I merge the guideline AAC and also the guideline from SCL and also from the practical point of view. So when I start analyzing the project, I look at the project as a whole. I will look at, I'm doing, for example, if I'm working on a skyscraper, direct, when you look at the project, you know where the critical paths will go across. You have to have a foundation, you have to have across the substructure, it has to go across MEP, then facade also is very important. So what I'm trying to do is to summarize the problems, to summarize the project, and also that's the time when you will look at the baseline. You will look at the baseline programs, is it correctly logic linked? Then do we have updated reports? Which type of reports we have as well? Do we have a proper P6 updates? Sometimes we still have a P3 updates, so which are really outdated. So this everything I will summarize. This summary is also a part of recommended practice. So you should check which type of information you have, what is expected from your delay analysis. And based on this, you will select the proper delay analysis. That is for me usually as a stage 2. As a part, once I know which type of information, what is my project about, the selection or the split for the analysis, I need to now split it. Am I doing a prospective delay analysis or am I doing a retrospective analysis? Prospective delay analysis, I always, it should be applicable only during the project, especially when you are at the beginning of the project, you will receive late delay, late drawings. So you only one option which you can do is prepare modeled analysis, which will be impacted as planned. The second when you are working on a project and you will receive, for example, change order, the best project management practice is to prepare the fragment about the change, and of course introduce this fragment into the latest update note or into the updated schedule when your delay even started, and prepare time impact. So every change order should have a time and cost money. And that is what a contractor should do when he is doing proper project management. So to assess the time and cost impact just in time. That is what is recommended in a SCL protocol, for example, as well. Then we have another 99% of our project or our project which are really like with a long period. We will come and analyze them after 2-3 years, and that is a time when we will need to use forensic retrospective delay analysis. So we will investigate the delay events and the typical type of the analysis with the retrospective as-planned versus as-built, Windows time slice. Time impact analysis in Windows, which is a combination between prospective and retrospective, but I will talk about this later. So this is the group of the project which are really old, and I'm going to do investigation which I call like a Sherlock Holmes investigation. So now this table also helped us to select a proper type of the analysis. Am I going to do cause and effect analysis or effect and cause analysis? So answering to those questions, which you can go across, should help you to identify which type of delay analysis do you need. So if I ask first question, is delay even in the future? And if answer is yes, of course, I have option to go with impact as-planned, or I have option to go with time impact analysis. It depends on the type when the delay even happened. Did it happen in the beginning or during the project when the variation came? So and so on. Like this, I will go across and identify the best type of the delay analysis which I can use. Well, as I mentioned before, the starting point for me is prepare like a skeleton, high level of the analysis, look at the project as a complex, prepare the report and suggestions for the detailed type of the analysis, which will be part of a stage 2 report or claim submission. Well, how do we prepare a skeleton delay analysis? This is very simple example. What do I need? Sometimes I will use only baseline. Sometimes when there is nothing variable, when you have a first discussion with the person and you have never seen the baseline, so you can just based on the discussion, the point, the start, finish date, plan date, also the actual status, and talking with the people, looking at the project, like I said, it depends on the type of the project which you're going to analyze. So you should be able to identify the proper critical path and possible delay events, why the delay even occurred. Well, how does it work? What I will need, like I said, if I'm so lucky and I will get direct access to the baseline, so I can prepare something really fast. So I will extract the data, especially for the plan, and then for the actual. So this is showing me how I'm going to group the data, especially I'm grouping it per trade. So I can see based on a resource as well for this type of work. For example, block work, I'm looking at the masonry, like block work, I needed to do it ABC, and then actual status will be typically showing in a blue, so we can direct identify where is the delay. If the sequence was ACD, then I can compare it with the actual sequence and then direct know the first building was CBA, CAB. So I'm direct able just to look at the overall schedule and say, this is probably amount of the delay which was suffered for which portion of the work. And so for what else do I need from this skeleton? After I prepared my nice skeleton analysis, I can say probably if the client has like actual data, I'm going with the time impact or windows analysis or different types. If no, the first analysis will be impacted as planned. Impacted as plan analysis, what do I need for that? I don't think I need to talk about this type of analysis. I need an approved baseline program. Approved baseline program need to show me the full scope, which is included. I need to make sure I have a proper scope. I have all contractual requirements included, and my schedule is achievable. Removing constraints is also very important, because if I impact something and it is constrained, of course it will not push anything. Then look at the critical path. What is a reasonable critical path? Is it logically linked? So I have to do proper cross-check of the program. Then the second step will be build my fragment. Yeah, fragment delay even simply identify what was my problem when the problem started, what was going on, was some more details, was some more discussions. So I will go across the correspondence and try to build a proper fragment and also identify when my delay even finished. With this is very important when I have my fragment, identification of the successor activities. So what I'm going to impact. So this is some simple, very simple example. So I have my baseline. I build my fragment. Now my task is to make sure it's properly linked. After my linkage, I will press button reschedule and my completion date will move. So the difference EOT will be a difference between completion after the impact and the original completion. This is very simple. What is very useful, we all are talking impacted as plan. Everyone can do this type of analysis, but what is important is how we present the results. So in this case, what we do, I have here a simple summary picture, which will help people who are not planners to understand what I was doing, what was going on, what is on a critical path, what is driving my project. So I always try to summarize the result, and it should be part of the executive summary. So when we look at the more details, what do I have here? I definitely have a start of delay, finish delay. I have completion date before impact, completion date after impact. So that's on a left side. On the right side, I have graphical representation. So I can actually show how the plan date, original plan date moved once I introduced the delay event. So this could be very helpful to talk about the results. Advantage, very simple, very quick, no problem with that. Disadvantage, as we all know, does not consider the real progress, does not calculate mitigation or possible concurrency. So it's almost never used, but it should be used when you are a contractor and you have problems since the beginning. It should be used since the beginning, because that's one method which you can use. Another very popular method is time impact analysis, which is part of the best practice, or should be best practice on managing the project during the life cycle. So apart from baseline, what do you need here? You need properly updated programs, and of course, the best it will be if the programs are nicely logically linked. Sometimes the updates are constraints. Sometimes they will show you the completion date with the same, so there is no movement. And what actually is happening, the planners are maybe it's just a shortcutting, changing the links and logic to make sure the completion date is static and it's all showing without a delay. This makes really difficult to prepare the proper delay analysis, because then the reconstruction will be necessary to actually see what happened and how the delay even pushed the completion date. So in a time impact, it works similar way, like impacted as plan. You will prepare your fragment. The difference is you will use the data date program, which is closest to the delay event start. After you selected the right program, you're going to introduce your fragment. We press the reschedule button, and our completion date moved. Our completion date moved, so we can see the impact. The difference here is you don't compare it, you don't calculate your impact from original completion, but you are calculating it for the completion before the impact. So this is often what is going on when I see some contractors' claims prepared. It is they compare it automatically to the original completion, so that's not correct. As a presentation of results, I will use very similar table like for impacted as plan. But what is the difference here? When you look at the completion date before the impact, it changed. It's not the same like in a baseline. So here I have to be careful what I'm calculating and comparing. So in a graphical representation, it can look something like this. You can see the dash black line does not start the same like the first one. So again, a very simple summary. Advantages. Advantage. Okay, it takes the project status like into account. The change, the reflex also changes and logic. It's very much used or disputed for the fact that it can generate more time for the contractor. That of course can be true, but it does not need to be true. The problem is when the logic and sequence is not right. Many times we will produce the delay fragment, but if someone is not looking what you are actually impacting, if you're not looking to your successor activities and how this impacted the completion date, you can generate wrong results, which is true. So we have to be careful and review not only fragment, but also review the successor activities. Is it actually realistic? Generally, it's time consuming or expensive. It depends on how many fragments, on the size of the project. So as we follow our AACR protocol, there are different requirements for the different type of the analysis. So of course, it could be not so expensive if you have like 3 fragments, but if you have 20 fragments, it can be expensive and time consuming. Okay, let's move to a retrospective. So we completed 2 methods which are considered to be a prospective, impacted as plan and time impact analysis. So they're always looking forward. Now we are going to look backwards. One of the type of the analysis which we use is S-plan versus as-built in Windows. So what do I need for this type of analysis? The best is to have a properly resource loaded schedule. Why do I need that? Okay, so I need this exactly to present the S-curves. So I need to present the scope in slightly different format. In a simple S-plan versus S-build, you will only see the comparison between a plan and actual activities. What we give to this analysis is extra dimension, which will show you the progress which was planned and which was actual. So how I'm going to analyze this? Comparing to those two pictures, I can direct identify there is a 4.5 months delay to start. So that's my easy delay to start. That is very easy, usually built as a fragment for time impact analysis also, because you know where to start, where to finish, and what to impact. But there is another type of the delay, which is a disrupted event, which could have impact on a completion date, but does not need to have. But it could be useful to know about that for the disruption claim. So this will show me, okay, we're doing block works. We started late, but we were also doing it very slow. So you can see there is a 6 months overrun. And that's something when we will add resources we can use for the disruption claim. Well, now what I'm going to do next, of course, I have an effect. So S-plan versus S-build is typical effect and cause analysis. So I can see the effect, but I don't see the cause. So I have to go and investigate what I'm going to do. Now I'm going to do my Sherlock Holmes work, trying to find the critical path. I can use my experience, combination with experience, programs, and other records. And at the end, my substantiation will look like this. I have a delay, and I found a document which is talking about the problem and why this problem happened and who is responsible for that. So at the end of the analysis, I have one combined summary sheet, which will tell me whole story of the project, what happened, what's going on, and who was responsible for that as well. So this type of analysis is very popular for the tribunals, for the exactly negotiation and amicable settlement. As we know, delay analysis can be very difficult to understand, with especially planners. When we work with the P6, the logic, links, and duration, it's everything in our mind. But the important is how do we transfer those information or our results to our management? How do we bring them to the table and talk to each other to achieve amicable settlement? This sheet is also very useful in talking about concurrency and seeing it actually what happened. Because sometimes what you can see on a bars from P6, you just see a long bar, but you don't see what is it behind. There are often mistakes when the completion, the contractor is, for example, 99% complete, but there's still 1% missing. So this could be misleading, and it can be taken like a concurrent delay, which is of course not equal magnitude to the other things. Disadvantage, like I was talking about this before, people go with traditional delay analysis, which is based on a P6. That's fine. Then they think this one is not based on a P6. This type of analysis is exactly based on a data which we are getting from Primavera. And so it's also considered to be observational interpretation more than a forensic analysis. That's not true, because exactly each forensic analysis is based on a detail. So I can only finalize it based on the facts which I observed as a result of my analysis. So it's combination. Well, let's go to classic window time slice analysis, and let's see how it works. So we have typical baseline. We don't need to discuss too much this, but let's assume this is all properly linked. I have all logic, everything is working fine. Then my first window, typically we use a monthly updates window. So we are comparing it with the baseline. So yellow bars represent the status of the previous program. So I can see which activity got delayed. In my case, it's the cable trench. This got delayed. My task will be to identify the cause of the problem, why this particular activity got delay. And we can see now how sensitive it is. So if we don't have it properly linked, it can be something else. So the sensitivity of the P6 is really close. So each day your critical path can change. Then we move to second window. So the second window will use the previous program as the base. And the comparison of the completion date movement we can see on the right side. The reason why this completion date moved is lay control cable. Yeah. The third window, we continue then on and on. So now we are in a classic third window. So the comparison, again, the system will continue. So we will just compare this with the previous window and of course quantify everything and move to the last window. What is more important for me is, again, when you are working in a P6, you are working nicely, you're doing a proper analysis, but again, to present your result at the end of your analysis and marking this all properly, that is something what is important. So I used very similar table what I used for impacted S-plan and time impact analysis, but I did put data date and I did put a forecast completion date also. Also, you can see the movement of the completion date each month and potential mitigation as well. The advantage, it can demonstrate acceleration, mitigation, concurrency as well. It uses actual progress data. Disadvantage, it can be time consuming. It also depends, like I said, on the sensitivity of the links, because every time the critical path can change. Required accurate as-built data, that's also true. What you can see behind those lines, you can see that progress. So you can really give the weightage of the activity. Then the last type which I mentioned is a time impact in Windows. How it works. Gassan mentioned the name of my paper, which I presented in 2018 in San Diego. I don't remember this name, but it's somewhere in the AAC, definitely. Well, why did I work on this type of analysis? The combination, sometimes you will get really old project, but your contract document will say, use the time impact analysis. As we discussed, time impact analysis is really a prospective type of the analysis. So we are looking forward, we don't look at the backward. But because we're working on a really old project, it's not really practical. Why should you use something to calculate on a prospective basis when you already know what happened in the past? So I mix it all together, and as a result is time impact in Windows. It works very similar way like time slice analysis. What is the difference? You don't observe the problem. You model the fragment, you model this problem into the schedule, and you can see this red line here, delay even one, which represents for me delay fragment. So I need to make sure it's properly linked and it's impacting the completion date up to the data date of the next window. What is my advantage? I already know how my windows are built in because it's retrospective. So I can assume this delay even finish as of data date. So as of data date, I will apply the actual progress, and the actual progress will show me what happened. Was there any mitigation? How the completion date moved? So in the ideal case, your impacted program, your program A should match with the progress program at the end B. So that means you really identify the problem which caused movement of the completion date. How do I move to the next window? Let's assume in my next window, my delay event, which I identify in the previous window, still continues. So this delay event I will extend, and again is properly logically linked. So it will move the completion date. I will mark my results. And then I will apply the real progress, what happened, and I'm able to see was there any mitigation or acceleration. So how the completion date moved. Okay, working on like this, if you're more interested about this method, you can look at that detailed paper. So it has a very good explanation how to do it. Well, the presentation of the results look very similar, like like a window analysis. The difference is, again, I have here windows, so I can see on the right side my delay events, how the critical path was going on. And also on the right side, I do have, that was left, right side, I do have impact, which is showing me how the delay event impacted the completion date. So when you move across the programs, you will exactly see what was going on and which delay event was causing the problem. Well, advantage, like I said, when you have this unfortunate clause in a contract, you should do time impact analysis, and you are really working on an old project. It's mixing prospective and retrospective together. It demonstrates really everything, of course, apart from S-curves and actual progress. Which we can see in S1 versus S-build progress S-curves. Disadvantage, this can be very time consuming and also expensive. It depends again on the amount of the delay event and on a project and the quality of the updates. Because to prepare time impact analysis, you really need to have a properly linked each monthly update. Then the progress need to be measured okay. Everything need to be ready before you will start building the fragments. Because if you model the fragment on a wrong updates, it will not give you a proper results. So the accurate project data are required. Yeah. So in summary, when we talk about those major delay analysis, so I would suggest if you don't have any, let's say updates, you will start with impacted S-plan, because basically, or you are at the beginning of the project, of course, you have to use this type of analysis, but at the moment it's very rarely used. But in the past, when we look at the history, like 15 years ago, it was still like a considered methodology to use. The next one was time impact analysis, which I will suggest definitely use it. Use it during your project. Every contractor should use it and measure their changes just in time. It is commonly used. The next one is S-plan versus S-build in Windows. This is something what we preferred because it's giving the good picture and overview of the project, and it's it's very popular for arbitration and the court cases. The next one is Windows time slice in FP6. What we use is the traditional P6 analysis and also supported with the S-plan versus S-build, which will give like a different dimension and overview of the project. Also for the presentation, high-level management presentation, is very important to have this summary picture because not everyone is a P6 specialist and not everyone understands whole data. And then the last one is time impact analysis in Windows. Yes, it's also good to use when you can't get rid of the clause. Use time impact analysis on a really old project. So this is something what should be avoided when you are really well in the progress or close to the end. Using something what is prospective, it's not really suggested by any guideline. So now I finished my talk with the analysis, but any questions, feel free to ask. I dedicated more time for questions and answers, so no problem. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Lucia Vernon. So if you have some questions, feel free to unmute yourself and you can ask questions. And by the way, for your certificate of attendance, I posted on the chat box. Kindly click the link and fill up the form to receive your certificate of attendance. So anybody who wanted to raise your questions, clarifications, check the chat box. Okay.
Hello. I have a question, but I would like to keep it to the end because it's not related to the session. The session is great. I think everything is clear in it. So I cannot wait. I'm gonna wait till the end of the session.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, it's basically the communication relating to the board of directors. Okay, I'm a member currently, and I'm basically unable to establish contact with any one in the group. We would like to see what is the mandate for the board members to be conducted throughout the coming days, and as discussed during the first meeting of the for the board of directors, I expressed interest in developing the website for the ACE International. Since my understanding, it's not up to the standard of the ACE International official website. I'm talking about the AEGS website, which needs to be developed. So I tried to establish communication, tried to send emails, but I do not get responses in this regard. So I just would like to know who am I supposed to contact in this regard.
Ahmad, thank you so much for your queries. But later on, our administrator or president, we're going to get in touch with you.
Yeah, just
currently right now. So let's focus for our subject matter at the moment.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Any questions regarding the delay analysis?
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah, about what the most important criteria doing to selecting the good method for a specific project, about the MIBs, ACE.
Yeah, okay. So the very detailed description is in 29 RP protocol. So definitely, I suggest you have a look at this one. General, it depends for me. It depends on the size of the project. Definitely. Amount of the activities, also the status of the project. Is it at the beginning? Is it in the middle? Is it at the end? Because that will direct you which type of delay analysis to use. It should, well, when the project is ongoing, probably you have more future variations, also type of the events. When you have more variations, you should use time impact to see the impact on a completion date and to properly report this. When you are at the end of the job, of course, you should go with retrospective analysis because you already know what happened. So there is no point to go and do something what is prospective. Then it depends also on time constraints. When do you want to have your analysis done? Do you want to have it within 2 weeks, within 1 month? And also important is budget. How much money do you have for the delay analysis? Are you able to do it in-house? Do you want to do it by some experts? So yeah, it depends on many factors, but if you're more interested, look at the guideline, definitely. AAC has it explained in more details.
One more question, please.
Yes.
Okay. There is we have the AOT claims and disruption claims. About disruptions, how to can expression the disruption in my delay models.
And this is very difficult. Yeah. So yeah, when we do time impact and fragment, it's very easy. It's just quantification of the time. But I mentioned this in my slides. There is a method which is like S-plan versus S-build, but you will assign the progress. So the activity, when you look at the trade, for example, you're able to say your mason works or concrete works were disrupted. So you have a feeling about that. But how to present is different. So you have to look at the data. You will look at the dates. You will assign the progress. What was the progress? Amount of the resources. This is something what is really difficult because we should be able to actually control resources on a site and report it as per the location. For disruption claim, it's important to have a location where your workers were working. So it's like assigning apples and apples. So you will not get like a overall or global disruption and bump all the resources together and say, okay, we were all disrupted, because that's not true. You need to identify the type of the work, assign the proper resources, and also proper quantification of the cost to this type of work and the cause of the problem. So it's not so easy to do it when you do it first time, let's say, but it should be possible when you read properly. There is a lot of papers from AAC as well and examples for disruption claims. And if you need, in the worst case, you can use the professionals. And I will be in Riyadh because I will be in Riyadh next month, so no problem.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, so Mr. Ahmed, you're raising your hands. Can you
Yes.
speak out?
Yeah, I have a question regarding conducting business for delay analysis. Usually, and from my experience, they, companies don't start delay analysis unless there is a trigger for it. From your experience, does it have to sit as a part of a function in, say, project controls or under operations in order to maintain continuous monitoring of possible and potential delays that might happen or disruptions. Because basically what happens by end of the project or towards the end of the project, if the evidence for particular events that took place in the past, especially when building a claim is a requirement, usually it's very difficult to get those evidences. And we need to usually to get into a forensic type of analysis in order to come up with the simulation for the particular events that took place that caused the disruption or the delay. So how usually does it and as a best practice, how does it usually conducted? Is that like a part of a function, and how often they intervene and doing the or highlighting the case for potential delays or actual delays that took place already?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Yeah, because we should, in a best practice of project management, we should avoid to leave it to the stage to 3 years doing nothing and then want EOT. Yeah. So the best practice will direct, first of all, you should read properly, or the team should know properly the contract requirements. The contract requirements are talking about notices. When you discover some problem, you should raise the notice. Well, in a practical way, it should work. The planner will do updates. You have a proper, let's assume you have a proper update, proper baseline. Each month, the updates are ready. So the planner will analyze. There is some problem. Often what happens, planner will don't want to show the problem. So they will want to keep, oh, well, we all good. And we're going according the plan, so no problem. So they will just constrain the completion or cut the duration, change the logic, and it's all good. So nobody knows the problem, but the planner should identify the problem, what is on a critical path, why the completion date moved even by 10 days. Within a 1 month, 30 months period, you definitely can't get movement like 50 days or 60 days unless there is a variation. But if you have variation, you should immediately prepare the scope for this variation and properly impact the schedule and incorporate this. And this process of identification should go each months. So once the updated schedule is done, you sit together as a team, especially planner commercial. They will talk together. So planner will direct commercial or what he should do. He should prepare notice about that subject, check the contract. Is it according our contract or not? So that's something then they discuss with project director, who caused the problem. Was it contractor? If it was a contractor, okay, you have to have a mitigation measures applied, or is it employers, and you need to raise your notice. This process should go each month minimum to make sure you have properly managed your project. Because if you don't do it, then why the people are there? When they're waiting 3-4 years till it will all explode. And then we have a lot of problems. Then it will go to the court and arbitration and other stages, which is really expensive. And it's much more expensive later on than when you invest to some additional resource to manage it properly. Yeah, I hope it answers your question.
Yeah, to a great extent, it does answer the question. But you did not suggest that it should be part of. I mean, it's part of the routine that say commercial or project controls or operations should conduct on a monthly basis, rather than having this as an established function under the department itself, right?
Yes, it's a part of the daily job. So if it does not work, or communication is not working, something is not right.
Okay, that's clear. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So I think we are about to end. So before we end, I would like to introduce our certificate of appreciations to our guest speaker tonight. Okay, so On behalf of AACE International Arabian Gulf Section, present the Certificate of Appreciations to Lucia Vernon, PSP, Regional Director, Quantum Global Solution Qatar, for delivering the different types of delay analysis. Given 22 of June 2022 at 7 p.m. at Saudi Arabia, signed the son Hamad Al Dusari. So thank you very much, Ms. Lucia,
Thank you very much. Very nice.
for all the attendees. Thank you very much, so much. And for those we did not
Can
get
I
your questions.
can I ask you a question?
Okay, so it's okay.
You can also ask me question. You know, I'm on a LinkedIn, so everyone who needs something, let me
To
know.
ask questions, so just stay. So, okay,
Yeah.
go ahead, Femi.
Yeah. Okay. This is just because as per the present market situation, all the clients are like concerned on the cost. Okay. So if a particular client is very specific on the cost, like with the minimum cost, he want to use the most accurate or prospective method in his project, where there is a likely chance of more variations in the project, and it is a progress, the project is in progress. So which delay analysis method will you advise?
Oh, when you have a change orders and a project is in progress, so what your project team, your planner should do is prepare the fragments for this change order, identification of the scope, and introduce this fragment into the updated schedule and show the impact properly linked. So that is what your planner should do every time when you receive a lot of change orders. Yeah, because at the end, well, when you still go without the correction
Yeah.
or proper implementation of the scope, what are you building at the end? Your baseline does not match with the actual work scope. So then
Correct.
it's
So
very difficult.
yeah,
So I
so
guess
which
it will be
method?
time impact analysis
Okay.
at the time when the delay event or change happen.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
Sivaraman, I think you're raising your hand.
Yeah, good evening. When we
Good
submit a
evening.
claim based on a particular method of delay analysis, but the countering party is coming up with a counterclaim with a different approach, is there any tips that in front of the client or from a PMC company, for example, can you give us any tips to defend that our approach is more practical to the situation what is being in challenge?
It again depends which delay analysis you received from the contractor. Yes. Yeah, so you received some package, and what I will always do, I will use the actual data. I will prepare that my summary picture, which will summarize their analysis as well, incorporate it into my analysis and trying to present a view why the analysis is failing or why it's not true. And it depends on a situation, but the best actual picture is giving S-point versus S-build in the windows with the S-curves, because you can really see everything. You can't hide, and you both are working on the same program. So if the contractor submits some schedule to PMC, you have both the same data. So it's impossible to not find the same conclusion. And this is when we have a dispute, because the task is to present it as the best as you can to convince other party it's actually happened like this and whose fault it is. So my advice, I will go with S-plan versus S-build and I'll look at the whole overall project and fit the analysis which I got, into my analysis and try to explain, maybe there will be different conclusion. But other party has to understand that it's actually true.
Thank you. So Rajis, you have
Thank you.
questions? Okay.
Welcome.
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to ask if we use one of these techniques to go with that, using these techniques with the delay events, which are directly attributable to causing the delay to the project, and then separately take the disruption, the delays caused due to disruption using techniques like measured mile approach or things like that. Is it acceptable in the tribunal?
Well, it again depends on a presentation, because the acceptable portion to like a disruption claim, to prove disruption claim even in front of the tribunal, it's very difficult. Again, it depends on the data and probability, what happened. But in terms of the presentation, I will use the measured mile approach or N value and value management as well. The SCL protocol is stating those methods, but I like to use N value management method, which is like a comparison of plan actual SCAF with the real resources per trade and assign the proper cost. Measured mile, the problem is very difficult to find exactly the work which was not disrupted. And in other cases, or in the Middle East, common, there is nearly nothing what was clearly not disrupted. But if you have it, yeah, it's good to use. Then also what is new is like a CDS now, like construction dynamic solution, is also used for the modeling the disruption on a big project. That is some type of model, sophisticated, which will try to present the results in a most high probability of chance, like actually it happened like this. But yeah, disruption claims are very difficult to do and to substantiate as well. So it's people need to be reasonable about that. And because we are working on some project, or you're working like 2-3 years, you know what's going on, so you have feeling, was it really disrupted or not? And at the end, it's all up to the people, how they know how to discuss and solve the problems.
Okay, thank you. So
Thank you.
I think no any last questions. Okay, so I think so there is one question in the chat box. For presenting your analysis, you are using Excel or some other software?
Oh, we're using there is a Primavera, yes, which is commonly used because that's like a collection of the data, and then it's just a simple Excel format, which we're using to present the delay analysis. The new way of presenting, we are doing, for example, we're doing movies at the moment when the clients see the problem, the major issue. So that's something what is like mixing delay analysis with the BIM models. That's very good to solve the problem or supporting negotiation. Then we use CDS model for the disruption claim. So it depends on what is required. It depends on many factors like delay analysis, selection as well. So everything what is useful, like I said, everything what will bring amicable settlement, it's okay.
Okay, thank you very much. So and no other questions. So if no more questions. So we are going to end our technical webinar. So thank you very much, everybody, and hope to see you in our future webinar on AACE. We are going to announce it. Thank you very much, Lucia Vernon, so for your
Thank you.
valuable
Thank you
time
very
and
much for nice
very
certificate. Please
informative topic.
don't forget to send it to me. That
Yes,
one
yes,
here.
yes. We are going to send it to you. Yes, yes. So thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Good night,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Bye-bye.